Media Boutique.
To our silly sours or stupid sours or candy shop sours tasting. We have some really fun, really hilarious, dumb things here. I also like to point out that Aaron cut an absolutely giant belch and then said, "Oh yeah, your mic's live now," which was very classy. This is going to be fun. I'm so happy to be back. We took 2 weeks off because Aaron was on holidays, and then we kind of forgot to promote the tasting, so it didn't sell, and that one's entirely on me. But yeah, we're back. We've got some hilarious things to taste. Our order tonight is from Superflux. We have their Fountainbier series. Now, this is actually a series, all of which are designed to taste like fountain pop. They have an orange cream soda. They have all sorts of different ones. This is their peach, which tastes like fuzzy peaches, which I'm very excited about. Then the beer that inspired it all, proving that sometimes when God closes a door, he opens a window. I had to taste black IPAs. I had to do a black IPA tasting. But in doing the research on the DuClaw Black IPA, I discovered that they made a beer called Sour Me Unicorn Farts with edible glitter brewed with Fruity Pebbles. And God damn it, that beer was available in Alberta. So hell yes, we're doing this event. This is our inspiration beer for this week. And then I had to, justify doing something with that insane idea. So we are doing the Annex Side Hustle, which is their fruit punch sour, which I kind of was thinking like Hawaiian punch sort of idea. I don't know. At this point, I was scrambling to tie it together. And then finally, Fruity Pea, because this beer is brewed with Fruity Pebbles cereal. This beer is actually called Fruity Pea. It's a triple berry sour. It kind of ties the whole thing together. Let's jump in, everyone. It's really nice to be back. Let's get started with the Fountainbier. This is not a sour. Aaron, this is why I said we should call it like the candy shop tasting, but all right.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
No, I think I actually specifically told you to call it summer sours because I was in a hurry. Nope. But now I'm going to blame that terrible decision of mine on you.
I just guessed.
Glitter is second, yes. Yes, Aaron's editing skills are getting absolutely incredible. They've always been good.
Always been good.
But they're getting
Aaron.
better.
Try this.
All right, let's jump in. I think this one's so good. I don't want to like this. I don't love the fact that it's a lager that just tastes like fuzzy peaches. Actually, I'm going to have a little more of this one. I said I wasn't going to, but I lied to myself. So Fountainbier is not a style. Like, we talk a lot about, styles, and we give the history, and we talk about, regional variations. That's not really a thing with Fountainbier. This is just a thing Superflux made up about 18 months ago, and they released a few beers in this series that initially started out tasting like different things you'd get off like a fountain pop rail, and now it's kind of started diverging into the candy aisle and tasting like random things that you'd get at the grocery store, like fuzzy peaches. I feel like I'm not really selling that very well, but I kind of don't need to, because in theory, everyone watching this also has this beer in their glass, so I don't need to sell this. This sells itself. This shouldn't work. This should be a thing I hate. I can't hate this. I mean, I grew up with eating like penny candy when it was still a penny. This does everything I want it to do. Now, I see the comment saying this is going to be tough to beat. Yes, but it's also the only non-sour, so it has to go first. If we do this at the end, it kind of gets murdered. It really can't even follow the Sour Me Unicorn Farts, which is a beer I'm always going to say by its full name every time, because I love the name. And yeah, like it even has that lightly chemical thing at the end that sour peaches have that make you kind of regret having them. It's an absolutely perfect. And yes, the fountain beer refers to soda fountains. So these are like, you go into the gas station, 7-Eleven of your choice. You know, you've got the Slurpee machine, you've got the soda fountain, and you kind of wonder who goes into a gas station and gets like draft pop to go, but apparently it's the thing. I've never done it, but people do. I'm also a joyless person who's never liked Slurpees. Um, but yeah, this is supposed to be like the soda fountain with like, you know, it's kind of like how every brewery, let's just use Dandy here, or Annex is kind of coming up with their own, you know, soda pop line. This is kind of the same idea, but done as beers, but also better and also weirder and dumber. And I kind of love the fact that they're just doing this thing that has absolutely no marketing appeal. Like if I just told you about this, oh yeah, it's a beer that's supposed to taste like a soda fountain that tastes exactly like Fuzzy Peaches, but also it's just an American style lager. A, you'd probably think Bud Light did it, and B, you'd have absolutely no interest. But actually tasting this stupid thing, it's great. This shouldn't work. And this isn't even, like, the next beer we're tasting has edible glitter in it. This is by no means the dumbest thing we're doing today. And this is what we're opening with, and I love that. And no, it's not, I mean, it is sweet. It is absolutely sweet, but you're right, the taste is dead on. It's exactly what it's supposed to, like, if you told me this was a peach gummy, yes, that is exactly what it tastes like. And yeah, it does hit you with a nice tartness, but the beer is not a sour. Which would lead me to suspect that they're using citric acid as the tartaning agent. Does it actually say what they add as a water, malt, yeast, hops, milk sugar, not surprised, peach puree, and concentrate? No idea. But yeah, how do they get the flavor? Well, they say peach puree and concentrate. I would genuinely suggest that how they get the flavor is Superflux. Oh, that was unexpected. Superflux are very, very, very good at this. Um, I haven't gotten a good answer on that. I'm now really curious to try other things in the Fountain Beer series, like the orange cream soda. Because I don't generally like the creamsicle beers that are coming out there, but if Superflux is doing one, you've got my interest there. Yes, I'd be very intrigued to try that. Um, I don't know. I don't want this. How about this? I love this. I really don't want this to catch on because Superflux has done a really good job. But I don't want to taste Banded Peaks, Zero Issues, even somebody I really, really like 88's take on this. Not because I think they do a bad job, but just too much of this coming into the market at once. This alone is not a huge seller. I really hope this doesn't catch on because there's going to be so many bad pretenders. Like that first summer when Radler caught on, and then the next summer, everyone and their mum had a really bad Radler. I think you have to be an exceptional brewery to do something like this. And I also would think that even Superflux with something like this will get it wrong sometimes. Because this isn't about like making a great beer. This is making a beer that tastes like something else entirely. It's mimicry, not art. This is really skilled paint by numbers to a certain point. And I think they've done a really spot on job. And I'm not minimizing by saying that this is paint by numbers. I'm saying that this is trying to copy a flavor profile exactly in a different medium with very different ingredients, because I don't really believe there's a lot of real peach going into Fuzzy Peaches, believe it or not. I don't want to see this become a trend just because of the absolute ghoulish nightmare that would come out when Molson's rolled out Rickard's Fuzzy Peach. Or Big Rock Sour Patch Kids. I don't want to have that in my life. I don't want that to be something that anyone else on Earth has to experience. So I hope this ends up just being a Superflux thing. That said, this rules, and I'm really glad we're tasting it tonight. And yes, it's alchemy. It's really quite something. So, a little fun story about the Sour Me Unicorn Farts, which I absolutely did discover when I was doing the research for the black IPA tasting, because we did the DuClaw Noir as one of the beers. It wasn't actually even my favorite beer that night. I really liked the In the Bleak Midwinter. But when I was doing the research, I discovered they made a beer that was called Sour Me Unicorn Farts. In fact, if you just type DuClaw, the way they spell it, into your Google search bar, the first like 3 or 4 results will all be about Sour Me Unicorn Farts. We'd actually been selling this beer for about 10 days and had already ordered the beer to do this beer tasting, getting an email from the agent for Alberta saying, "Hey Kyle, would you be interested in this beer? It's selling really fast. It seems like right up your alley." I'm like, yeah, no, we're way past that by now. We're on like flat 5 or 6. Also, sparkles may settle, swirl, or gently invert before pouring. I've already done that. I'm going to give it another good swirl. The glitter on this, I wish it was more overt. It's a little bit subtle. It is definitely there, but I also recommend a gentle pour, because I find that the glitter is most obvious when you're looking at it top down, and if you have a big, thick head on this beer, you won't see it as well. So yes, brewed with fruity cereal, which is just fruity pebbles, depending on which version you read, as well as fresh fruit and edible glitter. I don't know if we're going to get that much of the glitter on this, unfortunately.
I'm seeing it.
Were you?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah? You can see it? Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
I can see it really well in this glass right now, actually. It looks really
Nice.
sharp.
Oh, beautiful.
It is really cool. Obviously, when I heard about this beer, like I said, during the black IPA tasting, the second I heard about this beer, we were doing this beer. That was not optional. We absolutely had to. Now, I've seen edible glitter before. There have been a couple of liqueurs that have come out that look a bit like lava lamps, and they were kind of like hypnotic with edible glitter in them. And they were hypnotic competitors made by like the Western Family or no-name brand hypnotic liqueur. And they were a thing. Now there's actually a line of sparkling wines kind of in the Prosecco Moscato style. They're also done very much like this with the edible glitter, and they're also dyed blue and purple and all sorts of asinine colors that are also done that kind of look like a glittery lava lamp. I love the idea. Maybe I'm too much of a grump about wine and saying, well, wine should have some standards where it's not purple and full of glitter. But for beer, for this beer in particular, I kind of love it. I also brought this in initially to taste before I picked it for the tasting, purely because I expected it was going to be really, really bad. Now, I don't want to, slag on DuClaw here at all. I didn't love the Noir. It was a black IPA, no surprise. But DuClaw, I've had their stuff before when I was doing a lot of traveling, when I was doing like the beer rating thing and traveling around to a lot of breweries 10 years ago. I tried a lot of DuClaw. I really like their stuff. I respect their brewing process. I still thought this was going to be bad. And I think the big shocker out of this is, even though it's flavored with Fruity Pebbles, even though it has edible glitter in it, it's kind of good. I really like this beer. And the other thing I really like about it is you actually get something that reminds you of like Saturday morning breakfast cereal. Like, it tastes really cereal-y, which is not a thing I was expecting out of this. Edible usually means you can, not you should. Well, yeah. Yeah, this is very much the you could, not you should sort of thing, but that's kind of this whole night. The one complaint I would have with this is the finish. The finish finishes a little bit like aspartame for me. It kind of finishes sweet, sticky, and lightly chemical, which I'm not digging. Other than that, I love the fruit. I love the cereal grain notes. I love the fact that it's actually not that aggressively tart. One thing I have noticed, Canada versus US, when we say like kettle sour, we mean flippin' sour. Like, you look at Establishment's Pump Up the Jam, which just came back for the first time. Well, first time coming back, second time around. It's aggressively tart. American sours, by and large, are not as tart as Canadian ones. I do find that that's kind of nice with this in the sense that it's tart, but it's not as sour as a lot of Canadian kettle sours. And the glitter just makes me smile. I think it's so silly and so wonderful. Everyone enjoys their disco kidney stones. I'm glad Terry likes it. I like it too. The finish leaves something to be desired, but other than that, no complaints. For something as silly and dumb and ridiculous as this is, with the packaging and the glitter and the everything, and also like very fresh. Yeah, canned the tail end of April for a beer from the US. That's really good. Considering all the issues we've had with AleSmith and whoever the hell they were out of yeah, anything we're getting from the east of the US, like it's all stale as hell. This is fresh as anything, which is great. And yes, Pump Up the Jam is back, and it is different from last year. I found last year the fruit was so overwhelming that it didn't seem even as tart as Jamrock. I find this year quite aggressively sour. It's definitely different. I still like it, but if you really loved how just generous and giving Pump Up the Jam was last year, it's not quite that way. I'd say that the tartness on Pump Up the Jam is more like Super Fusion, their Katharina sour with guava, pardon me. It's that, but it's got that extra little bit of tartness. I really like it. It's just different from last time. Aaron, what do you think of these two? Like you've obviously had them now twice.
Yes.
What are you feeling? Like you're coming into this like this stupid idea Kyle had.
Yeah. No, I've enjoyed this sour's tasting. Yes, in all honesty.
Really?
Like, it's fun, and maybe I'm just in a nice summer or something, but I like the Annex beer. The 88 is also good. This like peach, this like peach gummy. So
I could just drink that on its own all time.
Yeah, yeah.
I shouldn't. It feels like it's taking years off my life, but it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's all good. It's fun.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny. This beer did remind me a little bit of All the Things, a little tiny bit. Not in any way what's inside the can. Let's be clear. And Eric, yes, the thing I keep saying about like cereal, I definitely get that malty biscuit. I definitely get a real grain cereal component to this. I think that my normal comment of like malty biscuit or malty cereal is being leaned towards like fruity cereal because I know they put it in this. But no, I definitely get that malty cereal thing. But not Craig, apparently. Interesting how differently everyone perceives it. I just like the glitter. Shut up, Sky.
Too. I wish there was more.
I wish that, you know, I don't think it's an issue that there's not enough glitter. I think it's just an issue that it's a beer and our glass is slightly foggy from the humidity because it's been humid as anything lately.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see.
It's just a little tricky to see, which is unfortunate.
I can't see when you put it in the light. See it if light is shining on it, and you kind of like
It's like in the shadow.
It's when it's either when it's in the shadow or
That's why looking see it.
Right,
comes
yeah.
in, but you can see the
Why do you keep sitting on the stool, Aaron? Aaron is dying. Ethan, would you go get Aaron a chair? No. Ethan, get Aaron a chair.
Jesus.
Get him like the nicest chair we've got going. No, Aaron has been complaining about this stool, which he entirely uses. Let's be very clear. It's a two-step stool that he has used every time, not because it's comfortable, but because he refuses to walk the extra 6 feet to go get a chair out of the office.
That's not why.
That's 100%
These
why.
things are, yes, they roll around. Holy, that's no good. Huge, they're bulky. They are a lot.
See,
Yeah,
there
give it a
you
try.
go. Now Aaron's comfortable. Oh, you're not gonna like it.
Sucks.
God, what a
It
princess.
sucks.
And yeah, the glitter is very fine, but I assume that's something to do with being edible. I feel like if there was big flakes, you'd have a very disturbing morning. Well,
Cut that off.
okay, let's move on to the next. This was, I'll admit, when I was putting this together, it was like, this is our theme. It has Fruity Pebbles in it. We have to do Fruity Pea. This showed up and it was an automatic inclusion. And then I was casting about a little bit for a fourth. This maybe doesn't fit our silly theme as well as the other three, but I also think it's the best sour that Annex has produced in a very long time. This is their fruit punch sour called Side Hustle. I really love this. Now, what a surprise. Kyle really likes an Annex beer. Yes, I get that. I know I'm becoming a meme of myself at this point whenever it comes to an Annex beer. I get it. I like them a lot. That's what I really like, though. It's bright pink. It smells like tropical punch. It smells like strawberries and cherries and lime and tropical fruit. How do you not like this? This smells amazing. Why don't I do these in the Masterpiece Theater armchair? I don't know, Aaron. Why don't I have an armchair?
Suggested that, but you won't pull the thing down, so we hit the fireplace again.
No, we don't have to pull it down. We just have to put it up on casters.
Line rack.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
No, it doesn't have to go. So, I recently discovered a store in Calgary called Casterland. They sell effectively nothing but casters. No, I'm quite serious. It is called It's actually it's behind 88 Brewing. It's in the same little industrial park as 88, and the reason I found them is they sell the world's best keg dollies.
Oh yeah, okay.
So we got 2 new dollies from them.
Yeah.
But I also spent some time in there, and their name is quite accurate. All they do is sell casters.
Yeah.
But I figure if anyone could sell us casters that could take the weight of the entire champagne rack so we could pull that thing out,
Yeah.
it's a store called Casterland.
Yeah. Totally.
Also, I love that there is a business that can entirely sustain itself selling casters.
Really.
That's madness to
I
me.
love that. Found that.
And yeah, I'm glad someone else said it, because Jamrock competition, you're right where I'm at with this. This is really, really stupidly good. And yeah, it doesn't have the vanilla of the Jamrock. It's more just like red fruit, pink fruit, tropical fruit, lime juice for me. But yeah, it's right there, isn't it? I really like this. I think that Annex, whose sour series has, I think, and even they would admit, has had its ups and downs. With this one, they absolutely hit it out of the park. I adore this. They kind of are, aren't they? The next one's very pink. Definitely isn't a caster store fronting a money laundering op. Well, based on their customer service, which is not great, it might be.
Castor.
Nice to have the side hustle sober. Yeah, this tends to be one that I could definitely have a little too much of. And let's be fair, like when I go to Annex lately, it's been, well, I haven't been to Annex in a while because I haven't been in Calgary in a little bit. But it's very often been that Fast Friends Mexican lager, which I think we're going to have a Mexican lager tasting coming up because everyone and their mom is making one, and it's kind of the beer style of the summer.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to talk about it. We are definitely going to do a tasting on that sometime in August or very early September. We'll see how all that shakes out. Now, I'm curious always with these. I think that basically everything we've had so far has contained at least a little bit of lactose, which does kind of break up the tartness, makes the beer a little bit richer. I'm curious with these, making sours in this style, this kind of like red fruit sour, seems to be the default go-to for kettle sours. And there are definitely people still making dry hop sours. Cabin just came out with a sour version of saturation, unsurprisingly called sour saturation, which was followed up immediately by ultra saturation, which was saturation with Phantasm in it. But I wonder, with this style of sour, is there a max cap? I mean, I'll be honest, like Fieldberry Crush from Snake Lake, when it came out last year, sold out very quickly. This year, not so much. Are we maybe hitting a bit of a critical mass for fruited sours? Because I don't see the same excitement around them that I saw 3 years ago, admittedly, with Jamrock, and last year with Pump Up the Jam, but I still have Pump Up the Jam on the shelf. Are fruited sours jumping the shark? Are we at that point? Very curious to see what comes out of sours in the next 6 to 12 months, because I think we might just be hitting the point where people are like, okay, sours, really like them. What's next? I mean, the answer is probably not edible glitter and cereal, but that was fun. Especially since this is the only empty can so far. That's still got about half a can. It's about a third of a can. This is gone. So if we're just going by how much got drank, this is our clear winner so far. And you're right, not naming it saturation was definitely a lost opportunity. So was not making just summer saturation. Come on, Cabin. Everyone wants it, especially me. Also, Annex, just hurry the hell up and rebrew Original Echoes while we're on the topic of beers people should be brewing. But yes, I've had sour saturation. It's good. It tastes like a kettle sour. It tastes like it's super saturation, but sour. I'm not sure I'm in love with it. It's probably my least favorite saturation so far. Ultra saturation tastes like super sat, with that super thiol, like grapefruit Sauvignon Blanc over the top white grape thing that you get from Phantasm. It's really cool. It's not going to age worth a damn. I really hope I'm out of it in 4 weeks, but it's a really great version. I'd still rather summer sat. Come on, Cabin, stop being cowards. We don't want new versions of saturation. We want summer sat. Yes, Good Robot Diablo is very, very good, and that will be as part of our Mexican tasting. I'm absolutely petrified that someone from Kevin's actually watching and is going to comment and be like, what the shit? For releasing new beers instead of re-releasing something commercially successful? For being brave? Yeah. Yes, I did, and I stand by that, even though it's completely indefensible. And yes, Good Robots Diablo is great, and so is the Establishment Annex Fast Friends. I absolutely adore that. But we will discuss that further as we get into it. Okay, so next week we are jumping into another brewery profile. Brewery that, again, I've been looking to get to for a bit. And I actually caught on to this because they have a new beer this week. This is Les Trois Mousquetaires. They are out of Quebec. They have always been a little bit of a lager specialist. So when they first came in, their whole thing was, we don't make ales. They made like Bocks, and they made Baltic Porters. They made hoppy lagers. They didn't make anything with an ale yeast. Now, that's changed, but they still make different beer styles than most breweries. So in terms of styles we've either rarely or never done, we have a Maybach from them. We also have a Stick Alt, which is a big amber-colored, dense, rich kind of red velvet cake sort of tasting beer from Germany. We have the White IPA, along with Brute IPA, one of the two endangered IPA species. And then we have a Tangerine. Now, in the fine print, it says Tangerine Sour, but on the can, it just says Tangerine. And when I bought it, it just said Tangerine. So I was thinking, oh, Trois Mousquetaires, just Tangerine? This could be weird as hell. Let's do that. So that was the thought process behind that. So, yes, we are going to do that. That is next week. It is Les Trois Mousquetaires. I am working on a guest. I'm 95% sure we will get this guest because it's someone we've had before. But I can't guarantee it yet. Yes, it would be very easy to make that super cut, which is why we're not actually keeping any of these. And anyone sending that super cut to a brewery, you know, why are you cutting yourself off from cool beer? You're shooting yourself in the foot. You're hurting all of us. Okay, so Fruity Pea Triple Berry Sour, which is a lacto 3-berry, which is blackberry, raspberry, blueberry, sour with 37 IBU, so it's kind of halfway up to an IPA. Now, Fruity Pea used to be billed as a 3-berry soured lacto IPA, but now it's just sold as a triple berry sour, but it's still hopped aggressively. It's brewed to 6.9%. Nice. It's a weird beer. It's been around for a long time. It used to be in glass bottles. They switched it up. Now it's in cans. Yeah, this one's very bizarre. This is, I think we talked a little about like all the things with this. This is kind of like 88's all the things. You know, it's got 3 types of fruit. It's got aggressive dry hopping. It's got a lot of alcohol. It's got lacto. It's also a sour. It's kind of all the good ideas thrown at the wall and seeing what sticks. But it's also been around for quite a while, and it holds together as a beer quite well. So, following this beer, which was actually brewed with Fruity Pebbles cereal, let's taste a beer that's kind of a tribute to the same. They really do. Yeah, the colors of the cans match the colors of the beers really exactly, which is wonderful.
Well, like no real reason.
It's insane.
Oh, they. Oh, I did.
Weird.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, put that on camera. That's
No
wild.
reason.
But yeah, the colors of the
Touch.
beers from different breweries match up exactly with the labels. I have no idea why that's a thing. We did not plan
It's
this.
like blowing my mind.
Now, I think the punch on this one is due to 2 things. It's due to the higher alcohol at 6.9%. It's also due to the fact that this is pretty aggressively dry hopped at 37 IBUs. So this is definitely something big and powerful and chunky and hoppy. You can see why Now, 88 says they changed the recipe for this when they stopped calling it an IPA. You can still see the IPA roots in this. You can still see the hopping. And yes, it is very weird, which is why it's at the end. Because how could anything follow this? I'm not going to say how could anything follow this because it's so incredible or it's so big. How could anything follow this? Because nothing else here has hops as a primary flavor. So they're going to struggle to follow anything that has that much bitterness. I've tried other things because I always do kind of taste back and forth when I'm picking the order. Unless we're out of time, in which case I don't, and I just wing it. This definitely kills everything on the table. Even the Superflux, it doesn't taste like a whole hell of a lot after this because the alcohol and the hopping just, it's too much. It changes your palate. You're not ready to accept this anymore because this is so big. And yeah, that's kind of the thought I have with this is it's by no means all the things, but this Superflux knew exactly what it wanted to be. I'm not 100% convinced this DuClaw knew what it wanted to be, but it does end up being more than the sum of its parts. This is really well done. The Fruity Pea, it does suffer a little bit of all the things syndrome, where it's kind of got everything in it, and it kind of comes off as a slightly dysfunctional Frankenstein's monster to a point, because compared to everything else, it's kind of the same idea. And let's be clear, this same idea is dumb, fruity, silly, sour with a gimmick, being tasting like fruit punch or having glitter or tasting like Sour Patch Kids or Fuzzy Peaches or something. This is a gimmick beer. It was 3 years ago, it is today. This, it doesn't pull off the trick as well as these. Now, I would also say that this is new, and I definitely know that both Annex and Superflux do taste the 88 seasonals regularly. They're paying attention to what's happening in the Canadian market. These beers definitely owe something to Fruity Pea. But this one seems underbaked to a certain point now. I really liked Fruity Pea when it came out. I still like this beer. It may be the only beer on the table I wouldn't happily buy a 4-pack of, but would still happily drink a pint on tap. Yeah, there's a lot happening here, and I'm not sure it all works together. Which was not what I thought I was gonna... not what I thought I was gonna find. Here goes 3-1-2-4, which is too bad for Craig, because I'm sold out of this. Random and spooky. I'm gonna get spooky. Terry says 3-1-2 and just doesn't even talk about 4. Okay. I'm surprised more people aren't super into the DuClaw. I really like the DuClaw. I also would probably go 3-1-2-4, but yeah, I thought more people would be more into that, but it's a strong lineup like it usually is, except when we accidentally throw something to the wolves like we did with what was that IPA, that New England IPA that tastes exactly like Rickard's White. It was called like Big Hat or something, and it was that black and white can. You really liked the artwork. So did Eric's. It looked like just a Sharpie drawing of like a 10-gallon hat. And it tasted like Rickard's White, and it got absolutely slaughtered by the other beers around it. Sometimes we throw something to the wolves. It's not deliberate, but we do. I will say the more I have of this, the more I like it, because the fruit and the hops and the lacto work together. I'm just not sure it needs to be almost 7% alcohol. Like, this is fun. I still need to be 7% alcohol drunk after a can of it either. Yeah, there's things I'm not thrilled about this. No, that wasn't a McKellar. That was, and yes, okay, sometimes the whole tasting, like Ale Smith and McKellar, kind of gets thrown to the wolves because agents don't keep beer fresh and brewers act like dicks and things happen. Certainly breweries have been thrown to the wolves, but individual beers, I try not to, like, you know, I would never do these 3 and then immediately roll out, like, you know, Labatt's latest version of their kettle sour. Not that they make one, but if they did. I don't try to throw a brewery to the wolves. I don't ever want to put up, like, a brand new brewery that we don't know, and put it right. There's a new brewery forming in Pincher Creek. They're called Wild Winds. They sound like a really cool project. They're still contract brewing. They're going to be really, really cool. I'm already having conversations with them. They seem like a great group. I do want to taste their beer at some point. The only thing they're making right now is a Hella. I wouldn't throw that into, like, this lineup and expect it to run with these wolves, because this is a really strong lineup, and also B, entirely wrong. I try not to throw a brewery or a beer into a tasting where it can't compete. I threw this in purely because I thought, hey, it's 88, they're a great brewer, it's called Fruity Pea, I've had that beer, I like that beer, it should be able to compete, it's a fun tie-in because it's made with Fruity Pebbles cereal, it should all work. It ended up being kind of not the strongest beer in the lineup. Fine, but I never try to do that deliberately. You're giving it B+. Ouch. Ouch, that's mean. I'm not saying that you're being mean, I'm just saying that, ouch, I had higher hopes. Okay, folks, well, I think on a Wednesday in very, very warm July, I think I'm going to get out of here, go have something to eat, and call that a night. Thank you to Aaron and Sky. We'll see you next week for the Tour Musketeer. This was silly. This was fun. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. It's going to be great. Keith really wants to get in here, so we're going to have to turn off the cameras. Have a great night, everyone. Good night.